Good evening. Tonight we are going to discuss Lughnasadh and its place in the Wheel of the Year. Lughnasadh, often called Lammas, falls on August 1st. It marks the first harvest of the season and is a time to give thanks. It is the festival of Lugh, the Celtic sun god, and in honor of him, one man would be chosen as king for the day. In ancient times, this king would be given the best foods and would later lead the villagers to the fields to begin the harvest. As part of the Wheel of the Year, Lughnasadh is the time when the god, in his king aspect, watches as the goddess continues to grow with his child. He watches this with sorrow, sensing that his death will not be long in coming. And yet, Lughnasadh is the season of transformation, the time when grain becomes bread, and so he knows that he will only be changing form, not vanishing forever. It is a season of hope. Lughnasadh celebrates the death and rebirth of Lugh himself. It is a time of sacrifice and thanksgiving, and in ancient times, true sacrifice often happened at this festival. Today, Wiccans and Pagans celebrate by sacrificing those things that are inappropriate in life, such as hatred, fear, or illness. Lughnasadh is also about making sure we have given enough for what we have received. It is often easier to think about what we can get than it is to think about what we have been given. Many Wiccans and Pagans, therefore, make it a point to give back on this day in whatever manner they feel is appropriate for them. There are many symbols that are associated with Lughnasadh. Some of these include transformation, bread, corn dollies, gingerbread men representing the sacrificial king, sheaves of grain, dark green plants such as ferns. The central part of your meal should revolve around grains, as this is what is plentiful at this time of year. Breads, pastries, cookies, and pies are all good ideas. Breads in the shape of men that can be sacrificed, eaten or thrown into the fire perhaps, are especially appropriate. Any game meat really can be served at Lughnasadh. Rabbit is traditional, as rabbits would be chased from the fields as the harvest began. You can really use anything you like, as this was also a time of hunting. Chicken and pork, both are quite traditional. Vegetables and fruits of the season can be served alongside your meat and bread for a full and delicious meal. There are many options for creating a full Lughnasadh feast, including meat pies, Cornish-style pastries, apples, blackberries, cherries or gooseberries, pears, plums, raspberries, strawberries, salads made with dark green vegetables, maybe topped with a light olive oil dressing. All of these are appropriate and quite seasonal. When choosing beverages for this Sabbat, keep in mind the colors of the harvest and the various fruits, grains, and vegetables that are naturally available in your area. Yellow ales and ciders are popular, as are fruit juices and lemonades. If you want to get a little more festive, consider making harvest mead. You'll have to plan for this one in advance, since a good harvest mead can't be made in an hour. If you're hosting games or other physical activities, have sparkling water on hand to quench your thirst. One of the most traditional ways to celebrate Lughnasadh is to make your own sacrificial king out of corn husks, straw, or sheaves of grain. Take your straw or whatever it is you happen to be using and gather it together. Fold the entire thing in half and tie off the top so that you have a head. Add another tie about midway down the body for a waist. Divide the straw below the waist into two and tie it off for the legs. Use another bundle of straw to make arms and tie this about the body. To be really traditional, you should use straw to tie your bundles, but honestly, I just use thread in a matching color. It's easier to work with, and it's thin enough that no one's going to notice. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once you have your sacrificial king, use him to decorate your ritual space. Later, make a game out of slaying the sacrificial king. Stand him up or tie him to a tree and fire arrows at him. Whoever gets closest to the head or the heart wins. Or assign points to certain areas of the body and give everyone 3 tries. If you can't fire an arrow, use darts. They're a lot of fun. Just make sure you're careful. Remember, we don't want any of your guests or family members hit by an arrow or a dart, so please play carefully. This sacrificial king can be used again when the bonfire is lit later in the evening. Throw him into the fire and see your negative emotions or bad habits burning away with him. Keep watching him until he is reduced to ash. Games that honor Lugh are common for a Lughnasadh celebration. Anything that tests a skill can be used as a game. Try archery contests, wrestling, games of chess, poetry readings, or anything else that's fun and inspires a sense of competition. Award prizes for the winners if you like. You will probably also celebrate Lughnasadh with a ritual or ceremony. But remember that it is not traditional at Sabbats to perform real magic. It is more traditional for these to be entirely ceremonial. Of course, if there is an emergency magical working, like a healing or protection spell, those would be the exceptions. You would definitely still practice those types of magic on Lughnasadh or on any other Sabbat. You can get into the spirit of the season by choosing the colors that you'd like for Lughnasadh. Remember that the traditional colors are the colors of the goddess and the god. At this time of year, the god is associated with gold, yellow, and orange. The goddess would be associated with dark green or even red at this time of year. Lughnasadh represents the beginning of the harvest season. It is a time to be thankful for what we have and an acknowledgement that everything we are given, we must pay for. Thank you for watching, and blessed be.